Hi everyone, this is Dr. Ernesto from AttaboyCowboy, and in today's video I want to talk about how to get your protein while traveling. So I'm over here in Mason City, Iowa visiting family, and every day we're going out to eat, to pizza bars, we're having Midwestern food, we're going to all sorts of different places. And although protein is not something I typically think about, I've been thinking about it the last few days because I haven't been getting quite as much as I need, and it's because I've been going out. Obviously when you go out, the quality of the food you eat drops significantly. You have more additives, you have more salt, sugar, oil, all the stuff that you try to avoid in your daily life. But everybody has to go on vacation and you have to be flexible. So how much protein do we typically need? The RDA is about 40 grams a day. I know most people are gonna say, wow, that's nothing. Scientifically speaking, that's all we need, 40 grams. If you mega dose, you go way over, then your body starts breaking down the proteins by the end of the day, and it breaks it down into carbohydrates and fats. So it just makes you gain more weight. Now, most people, the more you exercise or the bigger you are, the more you're gonna eat naturally. So your protein intake naturally goes up. I'm 6'2", 200 pounds. I exercise about 4 or 5 days a week. And when I measure my protein during the day, I typically get to about 100 and 150 grams of protein. Way more than I need. So if 40 grams is the RDA, how much do you need if you exercise and you gain about 10 pounds of muscle in a year? Well, it's only gonna go up about 10 grams. You're only gonna need about 50. So I'm getting double to triple my protein a day. I don't really need to worry about taking protein powders, and protein bars are not good for you because they're ultra processed, they have a lot of chemicals, and you're missing out on a lot of benefits of eating whole food. Okay, if you look at, for example, I'm standing in front of a cornfield here in Iowa. This food is nutrient dense, just like any other whole food. You're gonna get vitamins, minerals, protein, carbohydrates, a lot of different nutrients that you need, micronutrients. But if you eat a processed food like protein powder, all of it's been denatured through the processing process. So it's not ideal. Now, when I'm traveling, I do notice that my protein does drop significantly because at home, I'm conscientious of what I'm eating. I try to eat beans every day. I eat tofu. I eat a lot of things that are healthy and give me extra protein, and I like the flavor of it. So the last few days as I've been going out, I've been eating a lot of salads, which I love. They're nutrient dense, and they do have protein. Remember, everything that is alive has protein in it and amino acids. So this grass on the floor behind me has protein. The tree I'm leaning on, the corn stalk, everything that is alive, tree branches have protein. Now, obviously that's not something you want to eat. Unless you're in a pickle, then you do eat it, but you don't necessarily want to eat that. And again, the quick difference between amino acids and proteins: amino acids are like the bricks that build the building blocks, and protein is the entire building. And in your muscles, again, amino acids are like the building blocks of proteins. Your body puts them together, kind of like Scrabble, to form words, and it builds the proteins that you actually need to build whatever tissue you're making: skin tissue, eye, liver, heart, whatever type of tissue. Okay, so how do I get around this issue I'm having when I'm traveling where my protein drops? Well, I'm checking my protein and I'm getting about 20 or 30 grams a day. That's less than what I actually need. Okay, so how do I get it up? So I went to the market and I started checking the price per gram of protein of eggs, chicken, beef, pork, and I'll include the chart here. And I started looking at protein powders. I thought, well, I don't really have too many options here. I'm in the Midwest. They don't have vegan foods. I haven't seen any seitan or tofu or a lot of that stuff I normally eat. So one of the things I looked at was like this protein powder here. There's a lot of Hy-Vees and Walmarts here in the Midwest. I looked at this protein powder. I thought, okay, well, let me consider it. So I looked into that. I looked at the price per gram of protein. Just like at home, what was the winner? Well, beans, okay? This tiny can here, 92 cents, gives me almost 25 grams of protein per serving. That gives me almost what I need for the entire day. So if I eat 2 cans, I have more than enough. Then I go out to eat, I have my salad, I have beans, I have whatever else I can find, eggs, I should say. I haven't found too many beans when I go out. And that puts me well within range of what I need. Now, why should you consider this? I used to eat these when I was a kid when we go camping. I didn't realize how great these beans are. Any type of bean. They have black beans, pinto beans, garbanzo beans, white beans, all sorts of flavors. First, I didn't know they were flavored, so they taste great. And when you consider this, versus the protein powder I just showed you, the beans are actually cheaper. Not only are they cheaper, you get a bunch of collateral benefits. You get vitamins, you get minerals, you get fiber, you don't get saturated fat that you're gonna get when you eat meats, like pork or beef or something. When you're staying in a hotel like I am, it's much more convenient because it's hard to get chicken, fish, beef, or pork. Because if you eat any of that, you have to go to a restaurant. Then you're gonna get salt, you're gonna get oil. You know, they might cook it too long, so that's gonna denature the protein. You're not gonna get the quality that you're gonna get in a can of beans. Plus, because it's a plant-based protein, you're gonna get the phytosterols, you're gonna get the phytonutrients, you're gonna have a decreased risk of cardiometabolic disease. The benefits just go on and on. And when you're getting your protein or you're eating or whatever your goals are, you have to look at multiple things. Yes, having big muscles is great. And it's good because you look good and good for your health, but you also have to think of your long-term health. Think about your cardiovascular health, your metabolic health. You know, you don't want to develop diabetes or have, you know, excess weight, all these other issues when you're gorging on animal-based protein sources. So when you're traveling, consider if you need protein, instead of getting a protein shake or buying some chicken or beef or something like that, consider getting a can of cooked beans. Even the lid is convenient. I just open it up. I didn't even realize they had these lids that you can just pop open and just eat it out of the can. You don't have to heat them up. They taste good. It's going to give you a lot of fiber. Remember, most Americans get about 10 grams of fiber a day, and we need 40 grams a day. Our ancestors used to get about 90 grams of protein a day. So most people don't get enough fiber. If you're lacking in fiber, beans are probably one of the highest sources of fiber you can get. And when it comes to fiber, this one can has over 20 grams of fiber. So that's gonna put you halfway through your fiber needs for the day. So remember, if you could just eat about 2 cans a day, you're gonna have 50 grams of protein, you're gonna have 40 grams of fiber, you're gonna be well within range over what you need for the day for protein, fiber. It's gonna keep you healthy. So if you're traveling, you're camping, wherever you are, and you need protein, consider having a can of beans or 2, because then you're gonna meet all your needs for the day. So I'm here at Walmart, and I wanna show you some of the prices of some of this stuff. See, most of the beans are 92 cents. You even see some here that are 86 cents, so they're even less. You can use this stuff along with all the meats here. I'll post the prices here per price per gram of protein. You can see how much things actually cost you. You can look at all the meats, the chicken, fish, the eggs, the yogurt, everything. I pretty much just listed here some of the more common ingredients that I use. When I'm traveling, usually yogurts, eggs, beans. Generally, it's just like beans and yogurts. I'm trying to supplement my protein, but there's a lot of variety. But I use the store-bought prices just because they're cheaper, and so you can get a better idea. Of course, if you're buying the name brand, you know, like the Greek yogurt here, you'll see the store brand is $3.54, but then the other ones can go up to $6.96, so basically double. And then you can go into the organic and everything else, and the price goes up. So I priced the protein based on the lowest prices to give you an idea. So when you're traveling or even in your daily life, you can kind of figure out if you're trying to build muscle or just stay healthier. You're trying to figure out what you should eat. You want to try to avoid protein powders. Definitely avoid processed meats. Even if you do eat meat, buy whole meat. Don't buy processed meat because you'll have a lot of collateral damage from all the preservatives, the nitrates, all the chemicals they add to it. Your cancer risk goes up. Eggs are nice and clean, but again, you're gonna pay a lot more if you go like for the organic ones. Just to give you an idea, look at these, $7 for like a organic dozen eggs, and then here you go down to like $2.72 for regular eggs, and then if they're already cooked, they're much more, etc. So hopefully this will help give you a guide as to what protein sources would be best when you're traveling or even when you're at home. Now, if you compare the price of the dried beans compared to the chicken and the fish and the canned beans and everything else, it doesn't even compare. These beans are about 0.8 cents per gram of protein, not even 1 penny. So it's your cheapest source of protein that you can get. You can see here that there's a lot of variety of beans. So you can just buy different types of beans and probably eat a different type of bean every day if you wanted to for like 2 or 3 weeks. There's so many different types of legumes you can eat. And of course you're gonna get all the phytonutrients, the cardiometabolic benefits, the phytosterols, cancer risk decreases, everything. There's just, grains are just the healthiest food you could eat. There's no comparison. And if you're thinking about cost, 0.8 per gram, so not even a penny. That's way cheaper than anything else, and nothing compares in terms of protein sources for nutrient density. So these are going to be better for long-term health benefits, anti-aging, longevity, decreased cancer, etc. And again, beans are going to be the lowest price per gram of protein. And there's a lot of variety of beans. So like if you're a bachelor or bachelorette and you want to eat something that's healthy, you can always just try eating beans. It's going to be the lowest price per gram of protein, especially if you just buy the beans and cook them on your own, then the price drops significantly. There is nothing cheaper than beans when it comes to protein sources. It just is the lowest price. So you don't have to be wasting money on protein powders and protein bars are going to give you all these additives and things that you don't want in your body. This is going to be much better. And obviously when you're picking out your beans, you want to try to just get the plain beans without all the sugars and everything. The other thing is sometimes people tell me, well, hey, how strong can you get being a vegetarian? That eating all these beans and all this other stuff. Well, to give you an idea of my strength, I'm in the 90th percentile. I'm very strong. And I haven't really seen a dip. I've seen an increase in my everything. All my bowel markers have improved. I'm basically one of the healthiest points in my life right now. And I've gotten older. So thank you for watching this video on protein supplements while you're traveling, but also at home. And any low-cost market, I'm not necessarily promoting Walmart. Anywhere you can go and get beans, you're good. One more thing, oftentimes patients will ask me, well, doc, plants are not a complete protein source. Absolutely. Remember, everything that is alive has protein and amino acids. There are 20 amino acids, 9 essential, 11 non-essential. This grass here has all of them, the same as this soybean here does, or the branches or the leaves in the tree outside your window. Everything that is alive has all 20 amino acids. Now, the concentrations of each amino acid is different. When you eat a protein source from an animal, it has the perfect concentration of all 20. That is correct. And when you eat plants, it varies. It has all of them, but they're different concentrations. Now, soybeans here are actually the most complete protein source you could eat. It has everything in the perfect amounts. It's just like if you eat a big steak, you can drink soy milk, you can eat tofu, you can eat anything like that, and it's just like eating a piece of chicken or fish. You don't have to take on all that bio load, all that damage to your body, the hormones, antibiotics, all that other stuff. You could easily just eat soybean. So when you hear about, oh, but they're not complete, just eat soybeans. Now, if you're gonna eat some other type of bean, you can mix it with the grain, like rice or buckwheat or couscous. Quinoa is another complete protein source, just like meat. So soybeans or quinoa. So you could easily get everything you need for plants, especially if you're traveling. You don't have to go out and buy a big steak or chicken or anything like that. I hear some of my friends that are traveling, they're like, oh, I gotta go to this restaurant and spend $20 to buy a steak or, a piece of chicken because I want to get my protein. Just spend 86 cents, 92 cents, buy some beans at the store and you're good. So which beans do I typically eat? Well, I usually buy the mixed beans because the nutrient profile, I get a variety of nutrients, and they're the most economical. They're 86 cents per can. So that brings it down to the 3.5 cents per gram, which compares to whey protein. Also, when you're looking at the beans, you'll see that some of them have 6 grams or 7 grams of protein. The mixed beans have 7 grams of protein per serving, so about 24.5 grams per can. And I want to try to get the highest protein that I can from each can of beans. And I like the chili because it gives it flavor. When you're buying the beans, you have a choice. There's no sodium, which still have flavoring in them. You can buy the regular beans, you can buy the chili beans, and then of course there's like the chili beans with beans, with beef, there's the pork and beans with pork, there's the baked beans with sugar, but I obviously recommend you try to avoid the sugar and the pork and the beef and all that stuff. Just try to buy the regular beans, but that's what I typically buy. And sometimes you'll even find the beans on sale where the cans are $2 for $1, so then they drop way, way below the price of anything, even like chicken or fish or pork or anything like that. Now I'm gonna go for a swim here at the Mason City YMCA. So thank you for watching, and from Mason City, Iowa, this is Dr. Ernesto. Thank you and goodbye.